Yeah, wow. Thank you, Tommy, as well.
Oddly
I
enough,
didn't realize that.
oh yeah, before I did Pierce Morgan, which was the first time I had on screen interaction with Ariel Kidd.
Mm.
Now, Ariel Kidd had two clients in that documentary. We know one of them. Oh, Courtney B.
Yep.
Lisa Bloom had one client, but her client didn't speak.
Yep.
She spoke on behalf of Don Rashad, but Don Rashad did not appear. And then, I mean, think about who was there. No, none of the other victims who were there speaking. There's only the one.
Mm.
That one main one. There was, I mean, honestly, in that documentary, there's two victims. I'll be sure. And what's her name? Ashley?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Those were the two victims.
Yeah.
I'll be sure's lawyer didn't speak. He spoke. Lisa Bloom spoke, but Don Rashad did not appear. Yet Ariel Kidd did appear.
No.
And two of her clients also appeared.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
just
I know.
seemed a little weird.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
Especially considering
When it was filmed.
everything that happened after that.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
What I see is some real mixed in with a bunch of misdirection. Because, in my opinion, to include Courtney Burgess in that at all was so disrespectful to Albie.
Especially after everything that came out and everything else. I mean, I
So
thought the same thing.
disrespectful to Albie, sure.
Or at least use a clip like you did with Jag, where he's framed terribly and sounding like a lunatic. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, at least.
Friend.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm just saying I mean, listen, I'm not saying a lunatic, Courtney, if you're watching, right? I'm not saying you're a lunatic, but you give some spicy answers. You give some spicy answers. But hey, let me just circle back for a second, right?
I just want to really highlight what I just said, and I need to let Tommy go on this. I'm gonna drop this off, and I'm gonna let y'all pick it up. The very man who's been busted for illegally and in a very strange manner releasing Kim Porter's book with all of the salacious stuff that was in it, especially all of the stuff that was added about the so-called threesome between Albert, Diddy, and Kim.
Yeah.
That's the stuff that they had out there in that book. And when you look at it now, you can see it was a clear hit piece on Albie Shore before he got a chance to tell his story.
Okay.
And that you put him in the same documentary with the man who
Oh, yeah,
had to go after Amazon to take that crap down.
I got your point there. I definitely see your point there, 100%. I definitely see your point.
And I think you're nailing it. And I think it's because of how this thing was built. I would be willing to bet any amount of money. I mean, if you look, first of all, the way they framed a lot of what was said by Albie Shore, the way that they edited that so that he was talking about how the reason he thinks that his bride met her demise, right, was because she was going to meet with Cassie. They kind of framed it in such a way where if you were brand new to it, it made it sound like, so that's the stuff that Burgess has got, right? I mean, it really is like deceptive with how the thing was put together.
It's very deceptive until you speak to a person who knows that Cassie and Kim met at the Ivy, who knows that Kim slid Cassie something. Now, all of a sudden, Chris Todd wants to do interviews talking about it was Kimora. No, it's not. It couldn't be. Kimora's too scared.
I want to get your take on something, Jag. There was
People got to remember, you had Kimora, You had Kim and you had Erica. Erica Kennedy is the one that wrote the book, Bling, about the corrupt music industry people and the relationship that this woman had and all of the illicit things. If you go back and read that book now, it lines up with everything we're talking about, with the freak offs, with all of that.
Mm-hmm.
She put it out. Kimura told her not to. Kim supported her. And as soon as it hit the bestsellers list, Erica was gone.
Mm.
This was back mid 2000s, like 2012, 2013. For almost a decade now, she's watched both of her best friends that she ran New York with, the Manhattan Three. She's all that's left. And her ex-husband is Russell Simmons.
He ran.
And she was also treated with the G-unit behavior when
Yeah.
she was a kid. Kimura ain't doing nothing.
Okay, I want to hit you with something, Jag. There was something that was said, and it really hit home the mindset of Diddy that I just want to get your take on, because there was a moment.
I wonder if the Ivy burned down.
There was a moment where they were talking about the girl bands that Diddy had put together over the years, and one of them had done something in the studio, and Diddy turns and goes, "Hey, don't worry, if she doesn't sort herself out, I will DURG her and PIMP her out to my N words," right?
Yeah.
And that's a woman he has built a working relationship with and had, like, he's invested in this person, whether it's business or finance, he's invested in this person. And he's willing to do that to them. And then we apply what you would do behind closed doors to what he's willing to do to the friends of people he knows that are brought to parties, people that have been transported, all of this. Because hearing that level of outspoken hideousness about someone he works with raises the bar of what this man is allegedly capable of behind doors. What's your take on that?
You asking me?
Yeah, because I think for a lot of people, the documentary covers a lot of points that I think are important.
Yeah.
And when Diddy's quoted as saying these things, and this is about somebody who is in a band he manages and produces.
You want to know what my response is, Ron?
Yeah.
Why ain't nobody asking about all of the people he did that to successfully?
Of course. But it must, when we get a direct quote,
you don't say things like that
right?
loosely unless you've done them before.
Correct.
You know, there was this time I was out when I was in my party days and still clubbing and stuff like that. And a guy walked up to me, and I knew he recognized I was Jaguar, right? I knew. Everyone in that place knew who I was. And he walked up to me and he was like, "You got one of the prettiest mouths I've ever seen." That's where he started. And he said, "Why don't you come out to my car with me and show me what that feel like?" I took a sip of my martini and I looked at him and I was like, "You're not even going to offer me a drink first?" And he said, "No." And I said, "Here's my answer. Not even with your mama's mouth." He got offended, acted like I just rejected him, his rite of passage, and stormed off. And I was all kinds of, every kind of female dog you can think about. But what hit me was when he walked away, not that he asked me, but how casually he asked me that. And the first thing that I thought to my mind is, how many chicks has he said that to when it worked?
Yeah.
Right.
Because he didn't say it. Guys don't just walk up to chicks saying wild stuff like that they don't know. They're afraid to get a drink thrown in their face. They're afraid to,
Not on day one of being a creep. That's high level creepy behavior.
Day one.
Correct.
But she makes
intersection.
Mhm.
I'm at the bar minding my business. I get swiped by a weirdo who asked me to give him fellatio because I have one of the prettiest mouths he's ever seen.
Yeah, that's not a day one
I
thing.
should have grabbed that Grey Goose bottle and bust him in the head with it. But instead,
Yeah.
I told him, not even with your mother's mouth.
It's, you know what though, it's an interesting point because it's like Jag was saying earlier, right? So how many times did the guy that said that about your mouth get away with it, and how many people did not call and get an attorney because they still got a contract going, or they still got whatever they's got them tied into this so that they can't say, yeah, he did that to me too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The
That's
reason I bring it up is we have now more and more examples of not day one behavior. That was
Right.
not day one behavior we seen on that video recording of what he did in that hotel. That's not day one behavior. Saying things like that is not day one behavior. And when we get direct quotes, we have to just imagine the levels of pure evil that this man's capable of behind closed doors. Because to say to a group of men, you have to do X, Y, and Z to get anywhere in this industry, and then to turn around to your own girl bands and say PIN is where we're heading, ladies. It is absolutely solidifying all of these little points in that documentary that I feel that they wanted people to go and scratch the labels of in a way, if that makes sense. And you know, and what do you think? Excuse me. When they brought up the girl bands, there was the whole incident with the Pussycat Dolls as well, feeling like they were being transported around.
Well, I mean, they were
Of course,
allegedly, but I
allegedly.
know it's not. I know what it is. Nicole Scherzinger, that girl been through a lot. I was so happy when she got that show. What show is she on?
The
She's
Britain's
with the
Britain's Got
Robbie
Talent.
Thicke,
Or
the mass singer.
okay,
First time I met her, she was shaking her ass in Spearmint Rhino,
yeah,
and she was dating.
yeah.
Haven't y'all noticed most of these female artists that they got now? They stop looking for talent. They go to the strip club. Want to
I
know
mean,
why? Because those girls are going to be more susceptible to the kind of
yep,
training that these people are implementing. See, they're used to
Yeah.
pimp hoe
pre
culture.
pre-installed conditioning.
Yep. Yep.
It's wild, man. It's wild. It's specifically in that demographic when we're talking about. Whoa, yeah, I think
And those
Tommy.
girls would do anything to not have to go back to that pole.
I agree. You know, I completely agree. And
Look at Adria. Look at Adria English.
okay,
She diddy herself. Look at
yeah,
her. Like,
okay.
really look at what that is. Now, this woman already said she was down. This woman already said she just wanted to make it. When me and Odell spoke to her on the phone, and Odell was saying to her, you know, Jag is really against all of the abuses in the industry and whoopty whoopty whoop. Because I talked to her and I said to her, you know, in one of my earlier interviews, you were the women that I was talking about, the women who were around, who wanted to get that break, who ended up with all of the horror stories and got none of the glory. I said, there's thousands of girls out there who went through all of the same hellish stuff that I went through, but they didn't get to put out an album. They didn't get to go on tour. They got all the horror stories, but they got none of the glory.
Mhm.
Adria English is the best example of that. And look at how she was treating. And she said, but Jag, they didn't let me, you got to sing with Jay-Z. They didn't let me do nothing. That's all she's worried about after all this time. Not the abuse, not the pharmaceuticling against your will, not any of the weird X stuff, not any of the graping, not any of the filming. That's not what she's worried about. What she's worried about is that she went through all of that and she didn't even get a video. That's where her mind is after all this time.
Yeah.
So imagine what the girls who did get the contract, who they pulled from off of a corn set or from out of the strip club.
Yep. It takes.
They did.
I mean,
They did get the video. They did get the, and they got to keep going. They got to keep going. Because if they don't, they're going to send them right back where they came from and they're going to end up like Adria. Don't think he don't tell those stories to those women. You end up like her. Look, you be ready for that meet and greet. And that's that. Takes a strong person to walk away. I would know I'm one of those people. But what about all the people that aren't? Like this, and that's why I said this is a fist of domination and tyranny that has been punching through our society and our culture for years. It has to end.